Okay, what I really wanted to talk about is perks, and what game for me has had the biggest perk balance, and where I think Call of Duty developers have kind of lost their way a little bit with the whole perk selection thing. Like in Black.ops 2 you had the pick 10 system, and realistically when people kind of, you know, look through it, it doesn't turn into a pick 10 system. It turns into a kind of standard pick 5 or a standard pick 3, you know, of the same perks over and over again. Whereas some perks become absolutely obsolete and people don't need them. And, you know, in Call of Duty Ghosts is another classic example. There's so many perks to choose from, whereas realistically everybody just maybe has the same loadout with the same selection of perks, and it's no different whatsoever to the next man. Now for Modern Warfare 2, I felt that the perk setup, bearing in mind this is like a 5 to 6 year old game, I think that the perk setups, some of them slightly overpowered, we understand that, Commando, Danger Close, we get that, we get they're overpowered. However, the selection of perks that you had were kind of balanced for me because they countered every other perk that somebody else might find more effective. So let me give you an example. Now my standard setup, most of my class setups generally tend to have sleight of hand, stopping power and ninja. And the reason for that is basically because as a rusher, I like to use sleight of hand. The simple reason is because I aim down sight quicker, so if I need to pull my gun up in a situation where it's me versus him and we both see each other at the same time, I want to be the quickest. He who shoots first shoots last. I don't know. I don't even know what that expression is. I've probably just made that up. But yeah, I like to have that edge when it comes to those one-on-one gunfights. I like to have the speed, and I like to walk away from that gunfight and reload my gun as quickly as possible, ready for the next fight. That's just my choice. Now, that selection could easily be countered by somebody who thinks, do you know what, I don't care for reloading quickly, I don't care for aiming down sights as quick as possible. I like to be the kind of person who's got a constant supply of bullets, so I am happy to sacrifice sleight of hand for scavenger. Or I like to be the person who has more than 2 attachments on my gun. You know, I like a suppressor but also like a sight, so sleight of hand doesn't bother me one bit, but I want bling. And the same goes for marathon. You know, you could be the kind of person who thinks, do you know what, maybe I do like to reload my gun quickly, but I use a submachine gun, so therefore it's almost got built-in sleight of hand anyway with regards to one-on-one gunfights. You don't see many people using the UMP45 who've got sleight of hand. It's mainly marathon. So these people think, I like to get from one end of the map to the other end of the map as quickly as possible and flank the enemy. So therefore I'm happy to sacrifice sleight of hand for marathon. And so on and so forth. You know, it counts for all of those perks. Now, as far as stopping power is concerned, the reason I use stopping power, the sole reason only, is because I like to be able to put people on their ass as quickly as possible. And sometimes when the connection doesn't allow it, so say for the sake of example, you've landed on the arse end of some American or French connection, I like to be able to know that my bullets are going to kill either in one shot or a few, because we know that latency adds, I don't know, turns your bullets into feather dusters. So that's why I use stopping power. Now, in the same token, you know, somebody might turn around and say, Modern Warfare 2, the guns are powerful anyway. I don't care for stopping power, so I will sacrifice stopping power for hardline, because I want one less kill to contribute towards my kill streaks. And that's fair enough. There might not be you know, such a good standard of player. They're not confident that they can hold out to get 7 kills for a Harrier. They want to get it in 6. So that's where their sacrifice comes into that. Cold-blooded. People think, you know what, I'm sick of UAV spam. I can quite happily sacrifice stopping power to know that I'm going to starve the radar with the amount of bloody nublets that keep calling in UAVs, and it pisses me off. People know my position all the time. Danger close, if you're a bastard. Lightweight. You know, somebody might combine it with marathon and probably put on attack knife, and I would like to think they would put on ninja and think I want to run around and be a stabby person. I want to be an only use me blade and have throwing knives and everything, so I'm happy to sacrifice those for that. So they all kind of balance out to me, you know, every action has an equal and opposite reaction as far as I'm concerned. Now going on to the third perk, for me personally I like to use ninja. I like to stay quiet. I don't like to be picked up by bloody heartbeat sensors and things like that, so ninja for me is absolutely perfect. With the overuse of Turtle Beaches now, myself included, I'm guilty of that, then I don't want people to hear me when I'm sneaking up on them. So ninja's perfect for me. However, that can be countered by the one we all know as Commando. Now, I've played free-for-all on Modern Warfare 2 for hours and hours and hours on end, and I personally like to use ninja because I like the silence, I like to hear people. And some people are not bothered about exposing their footsteps, so they're happy to use Commando. So Commando for them, whether they be a trick shotter who wants to jump off a roof and do a overwhelming 360 while switching to a Claymore pistol, primary Claymore pistol, and then fire the gun and hope to kill somebody in one hit, they want to survive when they hit the floor. In the same token, I've found with a lot of people, they just don't care about staying off the sound radars as long as they can knife you from a very long way away. So for me, I'm kind of happy. I don't like Commando at all, and I don't like being knifed by people with Commando, but I would rather have that edge over them with sound, whereas they would rather have that edge over me with knifing ability. And you know, it goes for everything else. Some people don't like to aim down sight, they like to fire from the hip, so they would sacrifice Commando and Ninja for steady aim, and so on and so forth. So for me, Modern Warfare 2 kind of had it on the money with perks, and I don't understand how every Modern Warfare, Call of Duty onwards should I say, they seem to have to complicate it and complicate it and complicate it and throw things in the mix that don't need to be there, and eventually people look and think, what's the point in that perk there? I'm not going to use that, I'm just going to use the standard 3, and everybody will all use those 3 or 4 or 5, and nobody will change because there's nothing to counter each one. I know that things like Amplify, this is what they end up doing, they end up nerfing the bloody perks down because they get so overused and people just complain, everybody's got Amplify now, you know, everybody can hear me from across the map, whereas realistically amplifying in a lot of uncertain terms was not really much different from Ninja. If you had Dead Silence and Amplify, you kind of had that Ninja effect that you had in Modern Warfare 2, but so many people use it and so many people use Dead Silence that it almost becomes a classic that you have to use Dead Silence. There's no counter. You need to be silent because everybody else is and nobody wants to be heard. So yeah, Modern Warfare 2, full respect, that's why I play it, because the perks for me balance out and it's just so fun anyway. So hopefully they can learn something from this, but I don't think they will, because I think Advanced Warfare will have to try and ace the previous 2 titles and add a ridiculous amount. We've now got 75 perks, the most choices ever. And you know that 2 months down the line, everybody will have the same 3 or 4 anyway. So, thanks for watching, guys. Much love. Apocalypse done.